A new opinion piece calling out that meeting, by the way, among U.S. and Mexican leaders discussing the border crisis. The brutal headline, Mexico's president rolls Biden, gives us worse than nothing on border. Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne, member of the Ways and Means and Small Business Committees, joins me now. Thank you so much for joining us today. During this week's Mexico visit, Secretary of State Blinken called on Mexico to help end what he calls a, quote, irregular migration. Irregular is an understatement. Republicans are obviously tearing into that meeting, as should every American, with some calling it all talk, no action, and too little too late. And I'd like to know, where in the world was Kamala?
Oh, that's a great question. As our border czar, why was she not down there talking about what's going on at the border? It's a great question. I can't answer it. But we have been saying this whole week. Well, as soon as we found out that this meeting was scheduled, it's great to go down there and talk to the president, of Mexico. But what's your plan? What's your demand? What's your goal? How are you even setting this up? Again, under the Trump administration, when Mike Pompeo went down there, he had a definite goal. Mexico, you're going to partner with the U.S. and you're going to help us protect our borders. And if you don't, you're going to see increases in tariffs. You're going to see decreases in aid, and there's going to be a plan put forward. They went down there for nothing more than a photo op, which is exactly what they got. They got schooled again by the Mexican leadership and Mexican president. When we were down there a few months ago, some of us from Ways and Means went down there. We met with President Obrador. We came back with a message that this is a president who has no interest in working with the U.S. He is fine to allow as many illegal immigrants to go through his country to come into the U.S. He is fine with a number of Mexican cartels that are doing human trafficking, drug trafficking, child trafficking into our country. He's got no problem with that.
Right.
This was a message that we sent out months ago, and they did not have a plan. They didn't have a strategy. They went down there for a photo op.
Yeah. Your Governor Abbott, is tearing into the mayors, as you know, of New York City, Denver, and Chicago. And they're complaining about seeing a tiny fraction of what border communities see. He writes, quote, the sheer hypocrisy of these Democrat mayors knows no bounds. They are now going to extreme lengths to avoid fulfilling their self-declared sanctuary city promises, but are silent as President Biden transports migrants all around the country, and oftentimes in the cover of night. Instead of attacking Texas's efforts to provide relief to our overwhelmed border communities, these Democrat mayors should call on their party leader to finally do his job and secure the border. And that is a very good point, because now you've got Mayor Adams, for example, here in New York City, that's simply just saying, this is ridiculous. You can't bus all these migrants to New York City. We need federal funding. In one day alone, I believe last week, there were like 14 buses that arrived here in the city. Why isn't he freaking out on the president? Because if the president were to secure the border, then we wouldn't have the homeless crisis and the illegal immigration crisis that we've got in New York City and all these other Democratic cities.
You're asking the right questions. They're just not answering them, and they're assuming that the American public is stupid. We have been fighting this fight for years in Texas. As a former mayor of a city in North Texas, I saw this firsthand. And instead of the U.S. Conference of Mayors and those leaders from some of these largest of the blue cities, instead of them supporting our efforts, instead of what they did was they fought us. They called us names. They called us racist. They called us hypocrites. They called us, haters, instead of supporting it. And this is what happens when ideology hits reality. They're actually seeing thousands of immigrants come into their cities, and with a recognition that they can't support them. We have been saying this for years, which is why under the Biden administration, number one thing that he did was he started taking off all the tools from the table that were working under the Trump administration. So I'm hearing nothing more than spite. But when you start thinking about it, we have to understand that this entire play of what's going on at the border was planned. They were warned what would happen beforehand if they took things like remain in Mexico off the table. Yeah. They did it recognizing the fact that you were going to have millions of illegal immigrants come into our country, and that's exactly what happened. We've had over 10 million folks come into our country illegally since Biden took over. And by the way, over 4 million of those have come into Texas. So when I look at what's happening in New York and in Chicago, LA, and they're finally complaining, welcome to the party, welcome to our fight. Instead of fighting us and supporting a federal government and supporting those Democrats that are supporting these policies, why don't you get on board and start helping us to change the policies that are causing all of this human trafficking, all of this child trafficking, fentanyl deaths, in the push and on our resources in our own country. And start with next election focusing on who is actually caring about and prioritizing the American citizens over incentivizing those to come into our country illegally.
Right, and this is what's necessary. It needs a bipartisan push. It just can't be Republican mayors and Republican governors and Republican senators trying to force Washington to finally pay attention to this crisis on the border. You need the Democrats to get on board, and the only way to teach the Democrats that this is a real crisis is to bring the crisis to their doorstep. And I think it's a great example, but it really stinks for those citizens, those innocent citizens that now have to live among the mess that these Democrats have created. Former President Trump's campaign, meantime, is slamming President Biden's handling of the border in a new ad. Watch this.
While the world burns, Joe Biden has created a violent threat in our own backyard. Biden's open border has opened the floodgates to record numbers, including terrorists, fentanyl traffickers, and raises the possibility of a Hamas attack.
No, seriously. I mean, first of all, potential terrorists, not to mention the drugs that are coming over our border and the deaths that are as a result of the cartel basically taking advantage of these open borders. What are we doing?
The cartels basically own the borders right now, and they're using the Biden administration as great partners to be able to traffic these people into cities throughout the country. You know, they're giving them free bus passes, they're giving them train tickets, they're giving them plane tickets to get into our country, further into our country. And that's all paid for by, you know, taxpayer dollars. So what are we doing? Well, we passed out of the House H.R. 2, which is our border security bill. We are trying to force this administration, these agencies, to do their job. But we're having to fight now a Senate that apparently does not have that same interest. They're trying to tie every other focus that they have, every priority, high spending, into their focus, their priorities, as opposed to protecting our border. So Republicans are fighting for this, but you're right, it has to be a bipartisan push. We've got to have the Senate on board. And hopefully, you know, these sanctuary cities mayors that have been finally crying and recognizing the problem that we've been talking about for years, maybe they'll have some influence. We haven't seen it yet.
Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne, thank you very much for talking to us. Always great to hear from you. Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.